Welcome to Leading in Luxury, the podcast dedicated to dissecting the strategies that drive success in the boutique and luxury hospitality sector. I'm your host, Daniel Renna. In an industry where guest expectations are constantly soaring and the line between luxury hotels and short-term rentals blurs, how do you not just compete but dominate? Today we're diving deep with a true leader in this space, Brad Greiner, the visionary behind Open Air Homes. Brad has built a substantial portfolio from a single home, navigating the complexities of property management, guest expectations, and the evolving role of technology in luxury short-term rentals. We'll be uncovering his blueprint for success, the critical decisions that fueled his growth, and his predictions for the future of his dynamic market. Brad, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm happy to be here. I'll just say up front, too, I didn't get much sleep because I've become obsessed with Claude Code, and I've been vibe coding for my company all night. But I'm here, I have coffee, and I'm ready to go.
That's awesome. For our listeners, could you please introduce yourself and give us a concise overview of Open Air Homes and its mission?
Yeah, so my name is Brad Greiner. I've been running Open Air Homes for about 13 years now. I started with just kind of like, it just happened. You know, I had a home that was in the Hollywood Hills, and there was a moment where I couldn't afford my mortgage. I had some people living with me that weren't paying rent or anything like that. And I was like, I'm just going to put the whole home on Airbnb. And so I did that, got the pricing entirely wrong at first, offered it way too low, and started this mission of just like learning what this industry was. So I say that I think as the starting place because I started as a homeowner. So I think I understand this industry from a homeowner's perspective as opposed to just a property manager. What the homeowners want is different than what, a property management company technically wants. What I've done is kind of try to align those two things so that we can build a company of really happy homeowners. Kind of to end on that, we manage homes for people. I don't own all the real estate myself. The majority of the homes on our platform are owned by other people, and we manage them.
Well, that's a powerful mission. So here on Leading in Luxury, our goal is to bring our audience, leaders and innovators in this space, the most cutting-edge insights. Your work at Open Air Homes, especially with its unique approach to property management, offers a perfect lens through which to examine the future of luxury short-term rentals. So you started with one home and now manage a substantial portfolio. What was the absolute critical turning point or decision that allowed you to move from that initial success to building Open Air Homes into what it is today? And what specific challenge did that decision address?
Okay, so I could tell a story of the past 14 years. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I would say we grew up with Airbnb, to be quite honest. They had to grow up a lot. We had to grow up a lot. There was a lot to learn in this industry. It was a powerful idea that grew probably faster than it should have. And as a result, now you kind of see regulation everywhere. I would say the major change that happened a year ago was I was sort of like, looking at our portfolio and we were sort of always stuck around kind of the same number of homes. And I always had this idea in my mind that like, oh, you grow by word of mouth. Homeowners recommend us to other homeowners and we just keep growing. And I'm like, people don't use the internet to find someone to like manage this multi-million-dollar asset of theirs. That would sound crazy. You just ask people Well, I was entirely wrong. I had convinced myself that leads or people that are seeking management, like only speak to their networks, but no, they use the internet. And so about a year ago, I started to go through a journey of just like rebuilding the website entirely, personally, using AI mostly. And the major change that I made was putting all the information about our company online. I wanted to be a resource for homeowners, but also just for the industry in general. My sense is that we all have to elevate together. If you rent an Airbnb and you have a terrible experience, you're not going to come back to Airbnb for 5 or 10 years. So like hosts, so some host in Madrid might be affecting what's happening to me because, they're hosting people that are terribly mad. And so the entire industry needs to kind of grow together. And so I made the decision to kind of be like, to put all of our best practices online, talk about our commission rates up front. Everything that we do, I put that all online. And then probably about 3 months later, this was starting around March, all of a sudden like leads started to just come in on a regular basis. And it's partially why I'm low on sleep is because, you hear so much about people like laying off and we're doing the opposite. We're hiring right now.
That's amazing. That's really, it's amazing how you were able to turn that around. Many homeowners initially try to manage their properties themselves only to realize the immense workload. Beyond the obvious headaches, what's the biggest financial drain or missed opportunity you consistently observe for luxury property owners who attempt to self-manage? And how does Open Air Homes' unique value proposition directly translate into measurable financial gains for them?
Well, there's a couple things that really come to mind. And this is what I learned at the beginning. It's it's a 24/7 business. Like, so for a homeowner that might have a career doing X, Y, and Z, and maybe they're consulting or whatever the case may be, they're oftentimes making a lot more money doing something else. And so, when they take on self-management of it, you have to kind of pull hours that you could be consulting or whatever the case may be away from that. All of a sudden, early days of the business, I'm running over to a house on Christmas Eve because they can't get the TV to work and, having to leave my family to go, fix a TV on Christmas Eve. And so there's stuff like that that comes up all the time. And then I would also say like occupancy, like you have to review data on a regular basis in terms of like, okay, this home's not succeeding. It's on page 7 of the search results. How are we going to get it to the top of the search results and start succeeding? And so I would say we're able to drive a lot higher occupancy that probably pays for itself. With that said, some homeowners are great at this. And when I'm meeting with homeowners and they say like, oh, maybe I'll just self-manage, I'm like, please go ahead and see for yourself. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you'll be like, now you'll have a business like mine in 10 years. I don't know. But for a lot of people, they just realize like, wow, yeah, I definitely don't want to be doing the work that they're doing. You didn't even.
So it's clear that professional management is not just a convenience, but a strategic financial decision. Now the luxury hospitality industry is in constant flux. From your perspective, what are the most significant trends you're observing right now that are either creating new challenges or opening up new opportunities for luxury short-term rentals, particularly concerning elevated guest expectations and the evolving role of major platforms like Airbnb?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we're all talking about it. It's AI. It's what I tell homeowners is that this is becoming a market of winners and losers. And so we have some homes that are doing insanely well. The majority of our homes on our platform are, but I speak to homeowners all the time where, the algorithms have decided that their house is like not worth showing to people, whether it's priced too high or whatever the case may be. So I think the biggest opportunity and challenge at the same time is AI and figuring out, we're in a world where like these algorithms are they're running the show in a lot of ways. And if the AI algorithm at Airbnb decides, wow, you're a great property, people love it, you're going to have so much success. But if it decides that you're not, you're going to have so much failure and you're going to be forced to maybe sell your home or whatever the case may be. So I would say there's a big opportunity and it's so hard to even know what's coming with AI. I mean, like I was saying, I'm using Claude Code now and I'm just like blown away at what it's doing. So, the reason I'm really fascinated by this stuff, but also just like trying to stay on the cutting edge of like what's happening. So it's hard to even know what's coming. But I would imagine that long form, questions are coming to sites like Airbnb in the very near future. And that's a pretty big opportunity where people are going to be able to search for exactly what they want and they're going to be able to find the home that they want.
Well, the point that you make, I think, is really a good one about the market becoming one of winners and losers because of AI. For a boutique hotel owner or a property manager looking to compete and ensure that they're on the winning side of this AI-driven market shift, what's the one non-negotiable action that they need to take right now to leverage AI effectively? And what specific outcomes should they expect from implementing it?
Guest reviews, really. Guest reviews kind of become the most critically important thing, making sure your guests are happy. This is a double-edged sword because guests know this as well now. And, sometimes you get some pretty crazy requests of discounts for the smallest of things. And so in a world where we rely so much on reviews, it creates a challenge and an opportunity. If you can succeed and you might have to give some refunds when something does go wrong. And when you can succeed doing that, you'll start to see so much success. All of it goes back to empathy and listening to people. And if they have an issue, it might not sound like a big issue to you, but it's a big issue to them. And so listening to them, the same with boutique hotels. I've never ran a hotel, but I kind of know I am not this guest, but I know those guests exist because I run this business where they just have such high expectations. The other thing too that I think about is like, people are coming to, let's say, Los Angeles or Palm Springs, where they live, they might be able to get a nice rental property for $200 a night. When they come here, it might be 500. They just have higher expectations as a result. So even though that's just kind of market rate because our homes are so much more expensive here, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't really expect, wow, I'm paying $500 a night. Like I should have the red carpet rolled out for me. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but like guest reviews are critically the most important thing to to that piece of the puzzle of staying in good graces with the algorithms.
No, I think that's an immediate call to action for our listeners. I mean, that's what that's the key in the end, right? Is that if the people are happy, then they're going to come back. And if it's all about making people happy, you're sort of walking a tightrope in that regard. So shifting
Yeah.
gears slightly, you've seen the relationship between professional hosts and platforms like Airbnb mature significantly. How has that dynamic evolved? And what specific data or insights from these platforms have become most critical for open air homes' operational stability and growth potential?
Yeah. So probably about 2 or 3 years ago, Airbnb announced that they were going to start investing in professional hosts and starting to give us like resources. I think well, when I heard that, I thought that this is not happening. Like this is just that they're making. I'm like, great, thanks. Because Airbnb is a platform. So sometimes they need their guests to be happy. And so sometimes they seem to side with the guests more because they're the paying customer that comes back. There's a lot of people that want to monetize their home. But with that said, probably about 3 years ago, I started to notice a major change. Maybe also kind of as we grew, we have a rep now at Airbnb and they're able to provide extra data for us. And really, that is just really helpful for us to be able to see what the market's doing and what's happening. I mean, I look at data from so many different places, but theirs is, they have some of the best data in the world when it comes to this industry. Um, the other thing that I've seen is that like they continue to take over market share. We still want to be on all these different platforms, but what I've found for myself is like I don't need to be on every platform. Like for example, Booking is not host friendly. Like their policies don't align with my view of this industry. And so, they're running ads, millions and millions of dollars of ads all the time, but like I refuse to be on their platform because they're not host friendly. I could go into the details of it, but it's pretty in the weeds. But so, Airbnb has made things so easy. And I say this to people too, when they reach out about management, I'm like, listen, you can list on your own. Like sometimes it makes sense to try it for 6 months and see how it goes. And we can always co-host in the future. All these tools that make life so easy to succeed. And so, I don't want my business to be fully tied to Airbnb whatsoever. That's why we're like diversified in how we take.
No, and it's interesting to hear how the industry has matured in that regard. On the flip side, you've navigated various challenges, from dealing with guests trying to force refunds to the infamous party years. What are the most persistent negative trend or recurring problem you're seeing in the luxury short-term rental space today that impacts profitability or guest satisfaction? And what strategic approach has Open Air Homes found most effective in mitigating it?
Okay, so I would say the major challenge. So I also run a real estate brokerage, so this is the same with real estate. Homeowners' expectations of pricing is so high, and Airbnb is taking 15.5% now. And so if we talk about a monthly rental at $10,000, it's actually going to be 11,550 after Airbnb's fee. Everyone, because of Zillow, because of Zestimate, because their real estate broker or agent told them X, Y, and Z, whatever the case is, they're like, this home's a $1,500 a night home. And I'm like, okay, well, sure, that's your opinion. But like looking at data, we can get you 70% occupancy if we price it at $1,000 a night. Or if we price it at 1,500, we can get you 15% occupancy. And like we can run the numbers on those two things and show you the difference. So I would say that that's the biggest challenge that we have. I don't know if that's in every market. Homeowners' expectations of pricing are so high. And maybe it's justified 5 years ago or 10 years ago when there wasn't so much supply on the market. But when economic uncertainty hits, you have a lot of people that take their second vacation home and they're like, oh, inflation's up. Maybe I'm just going to rent out this home for a while. So you just see as it's a supply and demand thing. And I'm constantly having to have conversations. And I basically, Claude Code has become my best friend in terms of it builds these beautiful charts that are so well done and so professional. And I give it all the data. So it's not just like doing the work for me. But it builds these such beautiful charts that show me like, okay, like this is going to be your net revenue. We believe if you price at $1,500 a night, whereas if we price at $1,100 a night, you're going to be here. And so that's been the biggest challenge for like the past 5 years is kind of resetting expectations to have the high occupancy numbers that we want because we can hit them, but we have to hit them at the price that will get you there, not at the price that you've determined in your head is the nightly price for your home.
Right, and that's the real world operational complexities that
Yeah.
I think the whole that a lot of people face because they're not sure. Everybody, you have a sentimentality about your home and you don't think about it as a business. Finally, Brad, looking ahead, If you had to make one bold prediction about the future of boutique and luxury short-term rentals, perhaps something that most people aren't seeing yet, what would it be? And what preparation should our listeners be making today to capitalize on that future?
I'm on a big kick with Claude Code right now. And what I would say, the biggest prediction that I could make is like now is the best time ever to start a small business. Really genuinely now is the best time ever. These tools that now exist, like you don't need this large team of people. Like Claude is my CFO, it's my coder for my website. It's all the things that I need into one for $200 a month as a subscription. And so what I would say about our industry is there's so many layoffs happening. There's so much happening all over this right now. And if you feel lost, consider like, okay, what am I passionate about? What can I do? So I think that you're actually going to see a lot more opportunities for people to really look like a very professional company at a very low cost and build a business, whether it's in this industry or really any other industry. So I expect that you're going to see a lot of people, whether they choose to do it or they're forced to do it through layoffs, that you're just going to see a lot of opportunity for people to kind of come in and try to start businesses in this space. We're really fortunate because we've been doing this for so long. You go through many years of just like operational chaos to like figure out like how this is all working. So yeah, if I look at this space, I think that there still is a lot of opportunity for growth for us, but also just for anyone else out there that like wants to start a business. Use the AI tools that exist, build something that's incredible, and start to really learn the business.
Well, that's the bottom line, isn't it? So, Brad, your insights today have been valuable and incredibly direct. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and experiences with us today.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm so happy to see this is another version of you starting a journey on, starting another business. So I think that you're going to start to see more and more people start to do this. And what an incredible time to kind of own your own business and kind of move forward.
That's what it's all about. That's we're trying. All right. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll leave a link to Open Air's Homes website in the description below. Please like this episode and subscribe to the channel. I'm Daniel Reno. See you next time.